Hello, I'm Madison, and for this presentation, I chose the topic of the importance of acceptance in the LGBTQ plus community. I also focused a little bit here and there on the youth within the community as well. So I chose this topic because I've seen my friends and my family who are members of the LGBTQ plus community find acceptance and the struggles that come along with that, and how searching for self acceptance is all intertwined with acceptance from others, such as family, friends, society, and their communities. Um, and how acceptance in general is really just so critical and crucial for for one's overall well-being to really flourish. Um, and I also think acceptance is something that we all seek out in life, so there's a sense of unity in that. So for my interviews, my first participant, he identifies as a gay man, and he's also one of my lifelong best friends. So getting to interview him was really interesting. Um, but throughout our interview, I think I was able to get a better understanding of his struggles as a gay man, especially coming from a small rural town in Ohio. Um, we went to a small high school in the middle of nowhere. So you could imagine how that was. Um, but also within his different answers, I was able to see that he struggled with coming out, mainly because of that backlash that he could have received from the community that we lived in. Um, so there already we see that acceptance from society has a big impact, and it was a big concern for him growing up, and especially in high school, with everyone being not everyone being, but um just kids can be so mean in high school. um but he did say that he was so thankful for his family and his friends, because they were all so accepting and supportive and loving of him when he was in the process of coming out, and we are still all so supportive of him. Um, so I think already we are already seeing a theme here of how important acceptance is. For my second interview, I talked to a participant that identifies as an apostolic Christian woman. She's also one of my friends. And when I was talking to her, we spoke about a number of different things, but I really found it to be interesting that she was also really struggling with finding acceptance from mainly her family and society, I would say, because her to circle back to her family, her her dad was having issues with her choice to join an apostolic church. Um, he would even say things such as he thought that she was joining a cult, and would just make his lack of acceptance known. Um, but then, as far as society goes, she had mentioned that she receives backlash from the modesty standards that she practices, and those are things such as wearing skirts and dresses, not cutting your hair and not wearing like any jewelry, things like that. Um, but she said that society would make those kind of preconceived notions about her, and it was hard for her to find self-acceptance without really the acceptance from her family and society. So to dive into a couple findings from journal articles and research that I've done for this presentation, before I get started with this first note here, I just wanted to quickly tell you guys about protective factors, and mainly just define those just so we're all on the same page. But protective factors are conditions or characteristics that reduce the likelihood of a negative outcome or the impact of risk factors. So to look back on this first point here, acceptance from, others is a huge help in reducing the risk of suicide, and this is especially in LGBTQ plus youth. So down at the second point here, when it comes to acceptance, there's some different aspects to it. For example, like who the acceptance is coming from, like family, friends, that kind of thing. So once someone is able to receive that acceptance from, let's say, their friends, family, society, community, then they are able to better achieve a sense of self-acceptance. So there's the prime example of how it's all intertwined, and self-acceptance is hard to kind of achieve without acceptance from others. It makes it a little bit more difficult. That third point there, LGBTQ plus youth who were out to their families and received acceptance and positivity and support, were found to be less depressed and had lower rates of suicidal thoughts and actions than those who didn't receive that acceptance from their families. I think this point here really plays into the previously stated protective factors and the importance of that. So for the second part of my findings here, there's some main factors that maybe block or hinder the LGBTQ plus community members from really being able to achieve that sense of self-acceptance. And those things can include things such as internalized negative feelings, that lack of protection from things such as harassment, and the fear of being isolated from their families due to their sexual identity. So essentially, that rejection from their family members is a big fear. And then lastly, I have that LGBTQ plus youth in the foster care system have issues and struggle to find a permanent placement due to their sexual or gender identity. But what's interesting, so it's not solely due to the fact that they are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, but it's a contributing factor. So it doesn't essentially make or break permanency, obviously, but it plays a role. So to wrap things up here, um, I think it's safe to say that acceptance, whether that be from others or self-acceptance, is essential to the overall well-being of the LGBTQ plus community members. And of course, self-acceptance relies on the acceptance of others, including, and most importantly, friends and family, community, and society as a whole. Another big takeaway that um, is important to note is that acceptance serves as a protective factor for all LGBTQ plus members, but especially the youth. Um, I think it just plays such an important role in the prevention of suicide and, the prevention of self-harm and other things like that. But yeah, overall, I think that acceptance is really just so important and so crucial for everyone. But yeah, this last slide here is just my references. But yeah, that is all I have. Thank you guys for listening.